Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Pink Floyd Completion Project. Today, we are looking at David Gilmour's second solo album, About Face. Now, unlike Roger Waters' um, Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, this is good. And I really wasn't expecting to say that going in. I'd heard it before, and I knew it was better than Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking. Um, but I did kind of remember it being steeped in 80s bullshit. And as it turns out, it really isn't. Not a whole lot compared to, other prog bands putting stuff out. It's nowhere near as soaked in 80s textures as Genesis's self-titled album or 90125 by Yes. Or even, later on, Emerson, Lake and Powell. It's nothing like that. So the opener, Until We Sleep, excuse me. It's got a nice groovy jam with, heavy 80s textures, but it's not annoying. And the guitar work is excellent, but it's David Gilmour. That goes without saying. I don't have a whole lot to say about the lyrics on this album because they're very Like, they're not as descriptive as Roger is on, on Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, but it's David Gilmour. I don't really need him or want him to be. Murder, this is an acoustic guitar first half. The lyrics are about the murder of John Lennon by, I forgot the dude's name. I've said this before, I'm not a fan of John Lennon, but, he shouldn't have been shot. He should have been allowed to, live. He could still be alive today, I don't know. Well, with the kind of drugs he was doing at one point, either way. There's a nifty fretless bass solo in the middle of it, and then the energy picks up afterwards, and then there's a fun jam at the end. So yeah, it's a pretty decent song. Love on the Air. Fun fact: the lyrics of this and one other song were written by Pete Townsend of The Who, which is pretty cool. I don't know if David Gilmour ever played. I might look that up. I don't know if David Gilmour ever played on a Pete Townsend album or ever collaborated with The Who in any major way, apart from this. But, it is pretty cool. Two rock legends coming together. Love on the Air, it's a very 80s ballad, but I kind of like it, It feels like the single, you know what I mean? And this next one, Blue Light, also kind of feels like the single. It's got a very Run Like Hell guitar intro. There's like trumpets and shit. It's very 80s, but it's still better than anything on Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking. And there's a fun organ solo in the middle. Again, all these songs are pretty decent. The weird thing is, there's only one instrumental on the album, and it's held for track 9 out of 10. But we'll get there. Yeah, out of the Blue, I believe this was... No, it's not. The second one, we'll get to the second one. That was written by Pete Townsend. Out of the Blue, it's a boring piano ballad to start and a boring stadium rock ballad to end. And this is where I wrote, weird that there's no instrumentals yet. All Lovers Are Deranged. This is the second one with lyrics written by Pete Townsend. It's similar to the rest of the album, and the guitar solo is too short. That's all I have on that one. You can kind of tell that a song blends in when I write similar to rest of album. Yeah, that fucking wind. I know I'm right, or sorry, I'm right. It's musically similar to Murder. The lyrics are a fuck you to Roger, and there's a damn cool guitar solo. I'd recommend this one. I really do. You Know I'm Right is pretty good. It's like the earliest example of David Gilmour saying to Roger, "You're a dick." Essentially, that's what it is. Um, yeah, Cruise is musically similar to Love on the Air. It's it kind of feels like the melodic origin for On the Turning Away off of Momentary Lapse of Reason, which we'll get to by the end of this week. By the way, I'm gonna start making these every day, like because I'm seeing David Gilmour himself, in the early part of next month, and I gotta start cranking these out quite quickly. Um, yeah. Let's get metaphysical. This is the only instrumental on the album. There's an excellent intro solo, and Dave is having a great time. That's what I wrote for the instrumental. It's alright. It's decent. And then near the end is a melodic reprise of Murder, a little bit to start, and then it's a thematic reprise of You Know I'm Right, I'm pretty sure. And then there's an acoustic guitar solo followed by an electric guitar solo. Overall, solid album. Not the best David Gilmour ever did on his own. I think with his solo output, this is technically his worst. But if this is the worst David Gilmour did on his own, that shows you how solid his discography is. He would tour this album. I'm not sure if it's with the exact group of musicians that he did this with. Speaking of which, it was Jeff Picaro on drums, Ian Cooley on organ, and then Pino Palladino on bass. So they put in a solid album. A little bit of it feels kind of like this, like the record company went like, "Hey, we need to put some 80s shit on it," and Dave went, "Fine." But it's aged better than a lot of other stuff in the 80s. Like I said, it's aged better than 90125 and Genesis' self-titled album, because those sound very much in the 80s. I haven't heard anything from Jethro Tull from the 80s. It's kind of similar, not with the rhythmic complexity, but just general sound. It's kind of similar to what King Crimson were doing in the 80s. And actually, you know what? A good comparison for this is Rush's Moving Pictures. Like, Rush's Moving Pictures is a pretty good comparison to this. If you like Moving Pictures by Rush, you'll like this. And if you like David Gilmour, you'll like this. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I do recommend giving it a listen. It's up to you if you want to buy it. I'm not going to tell you to buy it. I might buy it one day. I don't know. So yeah, go give it a listen. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it. If you have something to add, please do so in the comment section below. If you would like to continue along this musical journey with me, please feel free to subscribe. If you want to hear me talk about something other than music, I have a podcast with two of my buddies. It's called Dorkies. I will link the most recent episode of that in the description below. And if you want to hear what I happen to be listening to that day, or a 15-second segment at least, you can follow me on Instagram at Sean_Heaster1979. And next time we will be looking at Richard Wright's second solo album / his side project. It's like he formed a duo with this other dude that I forgot the name of just now, called Z, and they released one album called Identity, and we will be looking at that tomorrow. And with that, I would like to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.